STRIKE stands for Seed Technology Research in Key Environments. What that means is that we've got new varieties, we've got current commercial varieties that we're testing in different locations around South Australia and Australia. We've got 2 of these sites in South Australia. We're about 10 minutes west of Cummins on the Eyre Peninsula. This trial is done by Cummins Ag, and Pat Head is the main guy there. They do an excellent job of trials, and this is no different to his normal standards.
Very good soil type, very reliable cropping region, and quite well renowned for its performance in canola in this region. So the crop was sown on the 4th of May, dry. A lot of the crop in the region was sown dry, and we were getting nervous about the break of the season. But fortunately we achieved, I think it was about 12-15 mil of rain around that 10th of May, which actually gave us, as you can see, gave us good emergence. The site is sown on a bean stubble here, so we have got quite a residual carryover mineralisation of nitrogen on the site, which has been a bonus for us. Season-wise, after that wet period in July, we actually went in a very dry period, and we actually got pretty nervous in the region how things were going to pan out, and we didn't really receive any more follow-up rain, decent rain, until those last week or 2 in October, which is probably a bit late for some crops in the region. But as you can see from the site here today, we've achieved a great result in probably a trying season.
So Jace, sort of what would be an average sort of expected yield for canola in this area for Cliff and others?
Well, last year there was guys in this region who were achieving over 4 tonnes a hectare. So you'd probably say in an average season, a 3 tonne to hectare canola is a good result.
Yep, no, that's good. I suppose my point there is that we are aiming for about 80 units of nitrogen per tonne of canola grain yield, so that while that 215 units of N might seem excessive, it is still warranted when you're aiming for higher yields and looking to really push the genetics and achieve some maximum top-end yields. So we're just going to run you through a few of the different hybrids that we've got here in the STRIKE trial, the commercial hybrids. We're starting in the Clearfield block. So this one here, as you can see from the sign, is 43Y92CL. It's an early maturity, so a 3 maturity canola. So this variety has excellent yield for its maturity. It can yield very highly in better rainfall areas, but generally where we target it and put it is in a bit more marginal areas, so some lower rainfall areas or areas that are going to have a bit of a tighter finish, and it will generally perform really well even in a tough finish, but it's also got the legs to be able to mature a bit more and put more yield on in a better season with a bit longer season and actually yield a bit higher. So Jace, this has been used a fair bit in the northern parts of Eyre Peninsula? Oh
yeah, Paul. The upper EP, this has still been the go-to Clearfield. There's still good demand for Clearfield in the upper Eyre Peninsula, and this has been the main reliable product. Even in a dry finish, you always still get a result with 43Y92. It's just such an outstanding, reliable product.
So this one we're standing in front of now is 44Y94CL. So 4 maturity, as you can tell from the name, Clearfield hybrid. This is by far and away the most dominant Clearfield hybrid in South Australia, and I'd suggest across Australia. It's really only brand new in 2021, and it has performed exceptionally well. So it's certainly looking the goods across the whole of the Eyre Peninsula, isn't it, Jace?
Yeah.
And certainly across all of South Australia as well. So again, it's a high yielding for maturity, sort of that early mid maturity. So it's going to cover a fairly wide range of areas and have a fairly wide range of areas that we can grow it in. So it can be used on irrigation if so desired, but generally, as most canola is, it's going to be dry land. And we're going to see some really good results with this year, and demand for this is already strong for next year. 45Y95 CL, another Clearfield hybrid, longer maturity, brand new for 2023. So we've been keeping a close eye on this one for a couple of years in research trials, and it's finally coming to market. Again, a 5 maturity, a bit taller, suited to those bit longer maturity areas, bit higher rainfall areas. Excellent option as well for grain and graze. Yeah, this is going to have a really good fit across, again, a number of areas in South Australia and across Australia in general. So you can see again that really close pod depth, really close pod set on that main stem. There's certainly some yield in this variety here. So now we're having a look at 45Y93 CL. It's a Clearfield hybrid again, but it's a longer maturity, and it's the longest maturity Clearfield hybrid that we actually sell. It is a bit taller than the other shorter maturity varieties, but you know, with that height comes yield generally. So this hybrid is more than capable of doing 4.5 to 5 tonnes to the hectare, given a good environment with, you know, adequate moisture and adequate nutrition package. Comes back to that 80 kilograms of nitrogen per tonne of grain yield we were talking about earlier. The other thing I love about this hybrid is you can just see how close the pods are on the main stem. They're very packed in very tight. It's got a really good depth of pod and really close pod spacing on that main stem.
45Y93 is also a great option on an early plant in some regions for grazing. Even though it's a spring variety, it has performed very well in some regions and has great grazing potential.
So we've come down to the Roundup Ready block, or the GM block, in this strike trial. So this is the earliest maturity Roundup Ready hybrid that we have. So it's 44Y27RR. Probably more think about it as a 3 maturity rather than a 4. It's certainly got a really good fit out in the mallee and real quite marginal areas. It's also a very tough hybrid, so it'll really hang on in areas where it's struggling for moisture or a tight finish or something like that. It still hangs on and will really put on some decent yield in a year where it might be not quite as good. So this hybrid here, 44Y30RR, this is one I'm really excited about. This is true 4 maturity, so we'd match this up in areas where we'd be planting 44Y94, the Clearfield. So this has got some really good runs on the board as far as research trials and that sort of thing has gone. A little bit taller, but certainly an excellent depth of pod, and it's really setting itself up for yield. Excellent early vigour. It's going to be adaptable over quite a wide range of the Eyre Peninsula, isn't it, Jace?
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this product for Eyre Peninsula. It's going to have a great fit for this region.
And across a lot of South Australia as well. So
shown excellent early vigour. I've been watching it with great interest. And, yeah, really looking forward to getting this out in the field. It's going to have a great fit for them.
Absolutely. This variety we're looking at now is 45Y28RR. 5 maturity, again a longer season for higher rainfall areas. Also an option for grain and graze as well if you wanted to go that way. But again, it's just that it's got a little bit of extra height, but there's certainly packed some yield on in here. And again, another feature of these longer maturity ones, they've got this really tight spacing of pods on the main stem. This is a variety that in the Western District of Victoria is used extensively in those higher rainfall areas, certainly targeting higher yields. That 4.5 to 5 tonne yield, adequate nutrition packages that will actually support that, and yeah, it's doing a great job for growers around Australia. Jason's had a few growers with bags of this in sort of side-by-side trials over here this year. Yeah, what are your impressions?
And we've got a commercial crop here on EP Pool, and from what we've seen, I was very impressed with the early vigour. Yep. Was concerned perhaps a 5 maturity for this region, it might stretch out a bit too long for us. But as you can see here, and in the commercial crops and trials have got, it's performed exceptionally well.